to all the participants and the live streamers who have joined us today for the live session. Today we'll talk about our integration for seamless e-invoicing generation in partnership with Tally. I'm very glad to announce that we are now the associate integration partner for e-invoicing for Tally, and the details can be found also on the Tally's website. I'll be showing this in a while. Before we begin with the webinar, I would like to request all the participants to kindly turn off their videos for a better bandwidth. Also, we have the chat section wherein you can ask all your queries, and for YouTube live streamers, we have the live chat facility. We'll be taking all your queries at the end of the session. So stay tuned and keep posting. So Webtel's e-invoicing solution is the fastest and most affordable e-invoicing implementation in India. We are the leading ASP, GSP providers. We have the fastest implementation. As I already mentioned, we are partnered with Tally's associate partners, so the pricing is always reasonable. And also we are available for PSUs as we are listed on GEM. So we have a direct integration when it comes to Tally for a seamless generation of e-invoicing. So Webtel and the power of Tally. So here are some features for the integration, as Webtel provides a comprehensive solution for all your e-invoicing needs. Without wasting much of time, I would like to introduce today's speaker and the expert in GST, CA Rajeev Khandelwal ji, who's also the promoter and the director of Webtel Electrosoft Private Limited. He has more than 25 years of experience and has deliberated in more than 300 seminars and webinars at various forums of ICAI, ICSI, all over India. He has many publications at his name. So without wasting much of time, it's over to you, Rajiv sir.
Thank you, Shubham. Good evening, participants. Today's webinar is on e-invoicing. Basically, I could also have uploaded a video of the same on YouTube, and you could have watched there. But the basic idea here is that we can answer your queries. Here in itself, we can know what you want to know and help you answer that. So that is the basic objective. And let us begin with the presentation. And in between, if you have any queries, you can put in the chat section. Or once we are through with the webinar and the practical demonstration of how integration of e-invoice will take place in Tally, then we'll take up question answers. But in between, also if there are question answers, we can take those. And at the end, also you can raise your hand, and we'll enable you to speak and ask a question also. So let us begin. I think my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think already some people were expecting that e-invoicing will be postponed, but that has not happened. And with effect from 1st October 2020, e-invoicing is mandatory for a turnover above 500 crores. And obviously, as you're aware, some relief has been given for just 1 month at for invoices for during the period of October 2020. They may not issue e-invoice and thereafter dispatch the material. Such invoices will be valid even if, and no penalty will be leviable under Section 122 of the CGST Act for non-adherence to these provisions. It shall stand waived if the IRN for such invoices is obtained from the IRP within 30 days of the invoice. This is not a blanket postponement or a blanket approval for all the invoices. Each invoice, for example, if it is of the 1st of October, it has to be, IRN has to be generated by 31st of October. It's not that the later on invoices also, the earlier invoices, just one time period is there. For each invoice, which is whatever it is dated, you get 30 days more for generation of IRN, and this is only for the invoices of October. Thereafter, from 1st of November, this will not happen. No such leverage will be given. So let us all be very ready. And let me also tell you just in the beginning that already in the first 3 days of that is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd October. 2nd October was a holiday, and 3rd was also, I think, Saturday. So in spite of that, already in 3 days itself, 24 lakh GST invoices were generated at the portal by 26,000 GST. So already it seems this there were no glitches, etc. in the beginning, because already so much time was given by the department, and the department itself also got a lot of time because of the earlier postponement. So they are quite ready, and it is high time we also get ready, and not only the people who are more than 500 crores, because it's already started for them, but even for people having turnover from, let's say, 100 to 500 crores, because it seems in the next 2-3 months we will start e-invoicing for them also. So it is so very necessary that we get ready right away and begin the preparation, at least we are in this category. So relief in IRN generation, as I said, if the bill date is 1st of October, then till 31st of October, you get the time. If it is 2nd, then you get till 1st of November. So for each day, you get 30 days. It's not a blanket thing that for all these invoices, you'll get 30 days more, or a particular date is there. So it's not like that. And there will be no relaxation from 1st of November. And when we talk about the turnover, applicable turnover of 500 crores, as you are aware, that the turnover has to be of any of these years, 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20. If even in one of these years the turnover exceeds 500 crores, thereafter it has reduced to a small, lesser amount, lesser aggregate turnover. Even in that cases, e-invoicing will continue to be applicable. That is the notification number 70 of 30th of September. In which turnover is to be seen for this purpose? Is it the turnover as per the P&L? No. Normally we see the turnover as the P&L. And if the turnover in the P&L is itself 500 crores, nothing more needs to be seen. If it is nearer to 500 crores, then we also need to see whether we need to add branch transfers also to that, because that's a part of GST turnover. Similarly, sale of assets, because in the P&L we only have a profit or loss portion of the assets sold. But in the turnover for the purpose of GST, the sale amount is to be included. So, such kind of changes have to be made, additions, subtractions have to be made. And it is basically this turnover is calculated in GSTR 9, or if something is more is added in GSTR 9C also, then that will calculate your applicable turnover. So from 1st of October, what is mandatory for B2B invoices and for companies having or SSEs having turnover above 500 crores, invoices applicable, and invoice data is to be uploaded at the IRP or the invoice registration portal. Invoice reference number, a particular reference number will be given for each invoice that will be applicable. QR code will be applicable that will you'll obtain from the portal. And this QR code will be mandatory to be printed on the invoice. So that's about the B2B cases. Now these companies for turnover above 500 crores. What about B2C cases? B2C cases, invoice has to be generated. Normal physical invoice, as you are doing till now, has to be done. But additionally, they have given a requirement that QR code has to be printed there. It's not to be uploaded at the portal, but you have to generate it as a physical invoice, as a PDF invoice, as you were doing till now. But additionally, a QR code is to be there. But this requirement has been postponed till 1st of December. So from 1st of December 2020, for B2C invoices, invoices will not have to be uploaded, but a physical invoice, if you issue or whatever format you issue, you have to ensure that there is a QR code. This QR code is not the same as the QR code for B2B cases, because that the government is providing. For B2C cases, it is a self-generated QR code, which is only enabling the online payment. Like using the Beam app or the Paytm app, you are making online payments as of now also. Just scan the QR code, enter the amount. In this case, because it's a dynamic QR code, even amount will be there in the QR code. So even the amount will not have to be much. That is the difference. But that's been postponed to 1st of December 2020. But at the same time, we need to get ready for it. Otherwise, from the 1st of December, we won't be ready and we won't be able to issue such invoices. Some of the sectors are exempt as of now, like the airline sector, like the transportation sector, multiplexes, and NBFCs, banks, insurance companies, special economic zones. As of now, these are exempt by notification number 13 of 2020, 21st of March, and 61 of 30th of July. So these sectors are exempt. And I think very soon some clarification is also to come that predominantly the entity should be engaged in this business. They'll specify whether it should be 90% or 80%, whatever. So if it is a bank and predominantly it is carrying on banking, then it is exempt. Irrespective of the fact that in some cases it has to issue normal invoice, like in the case of sale of repossessed assets, sale of gold, etc. So because predominant businesses of banking, in those cases it is exempt. But it is banking is I think if a very small portion, or NBFC is a very small portion of the business, but a major business is something else, then probably it won't be exempt. This clarification is to come soon. So what will be the pre-process and generation of e-invoice? Normal invoice will be generated from your ERP or the accounts or the Tally package. Then it will be converted into JSON format. And this is the format in which the government requires the e-invoice. It will be uploaded at the government portal, invoice registration portal. And there, once everything is correct, everything, the mandatory fields are there, a unique invoice reference number or IRN will be generated and QR code will be generated. This will be provided back to the supplier who had issued this invoice. And finally, we will have these things, these details pushed even to the GST common portal and the e-Webtel portal to the extent the data is there in the e-invoice. So e-invoice, what all documents have to be issued as an e-invoice? That is the invoice, debit note, credit note. We won't get into the legalities of all these things, whether the law is providing that or not. Intention of the department is that all these three documents should be issued as e-invoice. Even if there is some problem in the law, they will change the law. We don't need to be worried about that. And retrospectively. And any other document notified by the government. As of now, no other document has been notified, so it is only invoice, debit note, and credit note. What about input service distributor invoices? As an input service distributor, you issue invoices, debit notes, credit notes to other GSTN under the same PAN. In that case, it has been clarified that the e-invoice is not mandatory. You can continue to issue physical or PDF invoices. What about delivery challan, bill of supply, documents relating to job work? Again, that was clarified that there is no need to issue invoices in such cases. Physical documents, PDF documents, as you've been issuing till now, that can be done. Then the government notified the schema of e-invoice by notification number 60, and that contains the various mandatory fields, optional fields. Just to tell you that there are some fields mandatory, some are optional, but you don't need to get into technicalities. We've done everything for you, and it's a seamless process, as we'll see in the demonstration at the end. How integration with Tally has been done, we'll show you. So the fields like GSTN of the buyer, GSTN of the seller, quantity, all these are the mandatory fields. Other fields like phone number of buyer, trade name of supplier, vendor PO reference, etc., batch details, etc. All these details are optional fields. Quantity will be mandatory in the case of goods. In the case of services, it can be left blank. And what is the maximum number of items that you can show in the e-Webtel? You must be aware that in e-Webtel there is a limit of 250. Again, it's a huge limit, and I think in most of the cases we won't be facing any problems. But still, in the case of e-invoice, the number of items that can be shown in the e-invoice or invoices, 1000 items. Again, much 4 times more bigger limit than the e-way. So now the question will arise, if I have 1000 items or 900 items or 800 items in the invoice, how I will show in the e-way bill. So the top most valuable items of the highest value in the 250 items having the higher value or the bigger value will be shown in the e-way bill. Best you don't show. That is happening even now. So no changes. E-invoice will be uploaded, or the invoice will be uploaded as e-invoice in JSON format. This is the format, JSON format, which it will be uploaded. And it will be uploaded at the portal given by the government, as that is the invoice registration portal. And it will be not 1, 2, or 3. There will be 10 portals as of now, and even the government might put more portals if need be, because now, as of now, only bigger corporates having turnover above 500 crores have started uploading these invoices, and day in day out these invoices will be uploaded, and there might be a lot of traffic at a particular website. We've seen in the case of e-invoices, e-way bill, etc., that there were problems. That is why the government wanted to be sure, and this is something which cannot stop. You cannot stop dispatches of your material just because it is not being uploaded. You won't be able to dispatch your material. That is why the government will be putting up 9 more such portals. One portal has already been put in by the government, and that is the einvoice1.dst.gov.in. And here the various on the dashboard you can see the various facilities. Now, when you uploaded the portal, data validation will take place at the portal. You will see that the invoice number is unique. The same invoice number you cannot upload again. It can be uploaded during a financial year only once. The GSTN of the buyer, GSTN of the seller should be proper. It should be active. Then only the invoice can be uploaded. Otherwise, it will be rejected. Then at the portal, what all will happen? Let us see. Invoice validation will be taking place. That is, all the mandatory fields are there and the proper data is there. Even in the optional fields, the proper structure of the data is there. Once that is being confirmed, then the invoice will be registered at the portal. Once it is registered, there will be a generation of IRN, a particular reference number for each invoice will be generated, and a QR code will be generated. And this will be given back to the person who had uploaded. So this will be happening there. And please remember that there will be no registration of the invoice, debit note or credit note without all the mandatory fields being there in the e-invoice. So when we make a request for an IRN, what will happen? We make a request for IRN to the portal or the e-invoice system, and what all we will get the IRN, invoice reference number, e-way bill number if the data of e-way bill is punched in the invoice or that is given in the e-invoice that is being uploaded, and also signed QR code and also signed invoice. These are all the things that we'll be getting back when we make an IRN request to the e-invoice system or the IRP. And there will be simultaneous updation of data at the e-way bill portal if the necessary details are being punched in the e-invoice, updation of GSTR1 of the supplier, and updation of GSTR2A and 2B of the buyer. This will happen simultaneously. Now, what is the basis of IRN? IRN is basically based on the GSTN of the supplier, the financial year, the document type, whether it is invoice, debit note, credit note, and the invoice number or the debit note, credit note. All these will be taken up. They will be jumbled using a computerized process called hashing. And what we get will be called a hash or an IRN. This 64-digit alphanumeric number that you can see on the screen, this is the IRN or invoice reference number. It is unique for each invoice. And how many of you want to store this IRN in your ERP after memorizing it? You want to memorize it and then punch in your ERP or your Tally software? I think that will not be possible. That is why we are offering these solutions whereby you can get these things automatically in your software. So a signed JSON will be like this in an encrypted format, and it will be decrypted. And these are how the details will look like, the GST number, etc. All that will be appearing. And the signed invoice we will be getting from the portal, and no tampering can be done with this signed JSON. The digital signature shall fail, and the e-invoice will become valid if you try to play around or put some something additional text, etc. to this document that will invalidate it. And there's an option to verify the signed invoice at the portal. You can upload the JSON file at the portal, and this is how it will look like. That it's a valid invoice or not, we'll be able to know. There is also the rule 46 sub-rule R, which says that each e-invoice should contain quick reference code having embedded IRN in it. This is notification number 72 of 30th of September, talking about the QR code. And this QR code is made up of the unique IRN, important invoice data and digital signature. It is a proof that the invoice has been received by the IRP and has been registered there. This is how the signed QR code looks like. Again, it is encrypted, and using tools, it can be decrypted. In the QR code, what all invoice details are there? Let us see. GSTN of the seller, GSTN of the buyer, invoice number, invoice date, invoice value, that is the taxable value and gross tax, number of items, and HSN of the costliest item, most valuable item, and IRN. All these information is there in the QR code. QR code is made up of all this information. And it can be verified using a mobile app that the government has provided. Probably there are some issues at the moment in working in the uh, for Apple phones, the ones they've given in the iOS and the other one Android. You have to see whether it's working or not. But sooner or later, it will work properly, and it provides a quick view, access, and validation for this. This is how it can be checked using the mobile app. So one way is to upload at the portal the JSON file and know whether this is a proper e-invoice or not. The other one is that you can scan the QR code using the mobile app. Now this data at the invoice reference portal, registration portal, will remain there only for 24 hours. Whether it is uploaded at portal 1 or portal 2, it will be there only for 24 hours. Thereafter, it will be moved to a central registry. Now the question will arise that if there is some mistake in the e-invoice, how we can amend that, how can we change that, how can we cancel the invoice. So remember, in IRP or the invoice registration portal, amendment is not allowed. You cannot make any changes. Amendments have to be done in the usual way at the GST common portal. Just as you are doing now, the same process is to be followed there. That once invoice is registered at the portal, it is transferred to the GST common portal. There in your login, it will be appearing. There you can make the changes if you want. But if you want to cancel, then or even amend, what is the process and what is the time limits? So at the invoice registration portal, you get the time of 24 hours to cancel the invoice. So if you are generating an invoice at 8 a.m. today, so till 8 a.m. tomorrow, you get this time to cancel at the invoice registration portal. From 24 hours till the time of filing of the return, you can make the changes. You can cancel at the GST common portal after logging in your ID at the GST common portal. And if you want to make amendments after filing the return, then you can make these amendments in the subsequent returns of the period as you're aware. So up to 24 hours, you can cancel at the government portal IRP. From 24 hours to filing of the return, you can cancel at the GST common portal. And once that has been a return has been filed, then only amendment is possible in a subsequent return period. And then IRN cannot be cancelled if e-way bill is generated. So first, in that case, e-way bill will have to be cancelled, and then IRN can be cancelled. This is how e-invoice can be cancelled using either the IRN or the acknowledgement number. As what I was saying is that e-way bill must be, if it has been generated, and first that has to be cancelled, and then IRN can be cancelled. Now, question arises whether invoice is to be sent with the transporter. As of now, we are aware that invoice has to be sent with the transporter. Invoice and the e-way bill should be there with the transporter. That is a must. A rule, but there's a change in Rule 38A sub Rule 2. What does it say? Let us see. There is no change in the process of e-way bill generation. It will exist with the invoice system. There is an additional facility to generate e-way bill based on the IRN. And the question arises whether it is mandatory to give this transport information in the e-invoice. That is not mandatory. It is your option whether you want to generate part A or part B or both. It is up to you. It's not mandatory. But part A, transporter ID, etc., you can put in so that part A is generated. And thereafter, if the transporter wants to generate, you want to enable the transporter to generate the part B, then he can do that. And for that purpose, part A should be generated first. So it is up to you. But generally, because once part B is generated, your time for transportation starts. So I think it is more advisable that we generate part A from and give part A information and not the transporter in transportation or the transport details information in the e-invoice. Otherwise, our time will start from there itself, generation of e-invoice itself, because part B is also simultaneously generated. But if it is everything is okay and the material is ready for dispatch, in that case you can also then get the part B information so that even part B is generated. A printed e-invoice, again, you can use generate using the IRN or the acknowledgement number. And this is how it will look like. Regarding logo in the e-invoice, logo, obviously, when you upload the e-invoice, the logo cannot go there because normally it's quite heavy and it will make the file very heavy. That is why that is not allowed. But when you issue the invoice, the PDF invoice or the paper invoice to the party, in that case, you can print the logo there. Now, IRN in e-invoice, Rule 48, Sub Rule 5 states that every invoice issued by a person, that is a notified person, in any manner other than the manner specified in the said sub rule shall not be treated as an invoice. Again, very important change for invoice or normal invoicing also. What does this mean? This means that an invoice without an invoice reference number will not be an invoice. So what will it be? And what are the consequences? Let us see what are the penalties, etc. in that case. Seizure of vehicle and goods. Since an invoice without an invoice reference number, if you transport material with that, since it's not a legal document, obviously till for October month you're getting that leverage that you can generate within 30 days of issuing the invoice. That is there. But thereafter or even after this period, these things will start into play. All these penalties, etc., will be levied if you are unable to generate IRN. So first of all, your vehicle can be seized, your goods can be seized. Again, a lot of problems could be there because it could be something important which your party needs, and even if there's a delay of a few hours, then there might be a problem. Besides that, there will be a disruption of supply chain, and also there will be a penalty. And Section 122 subsection 1 says that where a taxable person who supplies any goods or services or both without issue of any invoice, he shall be liable to pay a penalty of 10,000 or an amount equivalent to the tax evaded, whichever is higher. So minimum 10,000 penalty per act. So minimum 20,000 penalty for each invoice which you issue without an IRN. Maximum penalty is the amount of tax. So huge penalties in that way. So let us be very careful that even in one case we should not do that. So if the amount of tax is, let's say 5 lakh rupees, so penalty of even 5 lakh rupees for that particular invoice. And even your vehicle is stopped, your material is is not reaching the party's place in time. All those issues obviously are there. And very importantly, your party, the person who is buying, will not get input tax credit on the document because a basic requirement of availing ITC is that there should be a proper invoice. And now they have amended the law to say that an invoice without an invoice reference number is not treated as a valid invoice. So not only your party should also be concerned that if you are issuing invoices and invoice is applicable to you, so you should issue invoice. And conversely, even in your case, you have to be careful that the parties from whom you are purchasing, they should be issuing e-invoice to you. Otherwise, you will not be able to get ITC on this. So need to be very careful about all these things. And in the case of e-invoice, for let us say filing of returns, you can make few delays of a few days, and in most cases, the government even waives the fees, etc. But this is more to do with business. Your business will be impacted. Your business continuity will be at stake. So if you are not ready, if you are already more than 500 crores and you are not ready, so again the problems will come. At least the government has given some relaxation in this one-time relaxation that you can dispatch material and in the next 30 days you can upload at the portal. But this will not be there very soon. On the 1st of November, no invoice can be sent with the transporter or to the party without an IRN, because it will not be treated as an invoice. So it is important that we get ready, and even those who are below the threshold, they should start preparing themselves for it, because very soon it will be become made mandatory for even them. And also data security also we are must be concerned, and we all are concerned about our data security. And this is the important data relating to the business, relating to your parties, relating to the materials you sell, relating to the amount on which you sell, the discounts that you give to your parties. So everything about the business. What more is business all about? Everything relating to the business is there in this the data that you are uploaded. So please be very careful about this data security, and the service provider that you choose for uploading in the portal should be such a service provider who takes data directly from your machine and uploads at the portal. Intervening period, intervening, there should not be storage of data anywhere. If somebody says that we'll store the data at our portal and from there it will be sent to the GST portal. So again, and hackers are there. The person, the service provider may not have any ulterior motives, probably, but even if he's 100% you are having faith on it and he's honest. But what about hackers? Hackers may, and every day we read in the newspapers that they are able to breach all these data securities in spite of all so many rings of safety and everything. So that is your call, but let us be very careful, and this is very important business data. And as I've been saying that even before below the threshold 100 to 500 crores or even below that, let us start preparing ourselves, because things take time, and there have to be changes in the systems, etc. We have to be careful, and changes have to be made in the ERP or sometimes in the Tally or other packages that you are using, and we need to be careful about that. And other technical things you need not be so much concerned about, because Webtel is taking care of all these technicalities. Like the invoice number should not be in zero, slash, dash, etc. It can be in between. The alphabet should not be a small alphabet. Only capitals are allowed. So if these issues are there, we'll convert it for you. So all these things are being taken care of by us. And also, as I said, we have to be careful that vendors to whom e-invoicing is applicable, whether they are prepared or not. Otherwise, I'll be losing on my ITC. So there is option at the portal where you can check whether you can check for yourself also whether you have been enabled at the portal, and also for your vendors you can check whether they are ready or they have been registered at the portal or not. So this facility is there. And besides that, we have various, these were the technical issues, these were the legal issues. Besides that, we also have many operational issues. Like invoice will be issued to the buyer, whether it will be a physical invoice or an e-invoice. What does the law say? Law says that an e-invoice is sufficient. So even if you issue an e-invoice, and now they've also made change in the law, that if the transporter has only the QR code in an electronic format, that is sufficient. A physical invoice may not be there. Even a QR code is there containing all IRN and the necessary information. That is sufficient. But so that is sufficient. But your party may be needing a physical invoice. You yourself may be needing a copy of the physical invoice, but the transporter, as of now, may not know about these things, and he may say that the people in the way, the inspectors, etc., would unnecessarily harass him. So in that case, you'll probably be needing a physical copy for that also. So practically, we have to see how many physical copies we have to take. So all these kind of calls have to be taken. Then, if a physical invoice is to be issued, how many copies? The transporter will be needing, whether the buyer will be needing, whether you yourself will be needing. We need to check that. Then whether a separate series should be there for the physical invoice and the e-invoice. Again, no requirement of law, but I think as a prudent business practice, we can do that, so that wherever there is there is not IRN is not there, we are sure that it is a physical invoice. Otherwise, the IRN has to be there. And when we see the list of invoices in Tally or whatever software we are using, we are sure that this has been uploaded to the portal. In the remaining ones, they should be B2C cases, etc., where uploading it to portal is not required. In signing, whether any digital signature is required, whether any physical signature is required. If you are issuing as an e-invoice, government says that you can use the e-invoice as such, and either you affix your digital signatures to the e-invoice before uploading it to the portal. Thereafter, you can do that, or you upload without the digital signature. They say that's okay. But again, in law, there are many things, and the people who are more careful and they want that it should be signed by them also. So in that case, if you are issuing a physical invoice, you can physically sign the document, or you can also use digital signature for issuing the PDF document or the physical document that you are issuing to your party. And for that also, we have a solution whereby bulk signatures can be affixed to the documents. So all these facilities the Webtel is providing. So I think we've talked about a lot of law and the practical issues, etc. Now it is time, and if there are any queries, we can take those also, and or we can. I think first we'll show you the demo of how things will happen in Tally. So we'll do that, and thereafter
Sure,
we'll
sir.
question answer.
Sure, sir. Sir, I have a little thing to show.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I want to share my screen. Is my screen visible, sir?
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So all the participants, this is the Tally's website, and as I already mentioned, as a promise that we'll show you that Webtel is mentioned. So they have only three integration partners all over India, and Webtel is one of them. And we are the associate partners, the certified partners for e-invoicing integration. So Webtel is the only obvious choice to make for the invoicing needs that you are uh, having. So choose Webtel for invoice solution. So over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Also to add on, sir, we have more than 5,000 users for GST services all over India since the implementation. So we have a wide variety of professionals and big corporates, the top legal firms, and the manufacturing, be it any industry. We have the clients, we have the reach. So Webtel is the renowned brand when it comes to GST and now invoice. So you can share your screen, please.
Yeah, I'm sharing. Is my screen visible?
Right, sir. Absolutely, it is visible.
Okay. So let us see how integration has been done with Tally. It's absolutely seamless integration. It is as if it is a part of Tally itself. and let us see how it will function. So first of all, we will, there's a TDL of tally that we have made, that is integration, and first of all that has to be uploaded, and will be a process of installation of the same simple process. First we'll follow that. Once that is done, then we will get Webtel GST in the menu like this, and when we open it, we get Webtel GST configuration, and at the bottom, as you can see, is invoice applicable. We have to say yes, and if it is no, we have to say yes and save it. Come back, and now let us try and generate an invoice with this. Here, a normal invoice as you make in Tally that we've made invoice, and as you can see, there is an option of generate invoice at the bottom. Here, this option is there. We will use this option and generate an invoice, and the data is being uploaded at the DST portal of registration IRP, and speed will depend on the speed of internet, etc. Otherwise, it happens in a fraction of a second. It doesn't take much time. Sometimes the internet is slow, so it takes a little time. And once the data is validated in the portal, then after IRN is generated, and we will get the message that IRN is generated. Like this message will come, but we can't see the IRN here. So let us go back and the voucher once again. And when we open the voucher, we can see at the top also of the voucher and the narration also, the IRN is appearing. 64-digit alphanumeric number, the IRN, that is appearing. See, and here ACT shows that it is active. This IRN and the date and time of generation is also there. All this information is stored in your tally, so that you don't have to do anything regarding that. And once it is generated, I think we will also like to take a printout of the same. So we can take a printout, and it will ask you if you want to take a printout with QR code. We will say yes, and we will try to print it. And the tally normal tax invoice that format will be printed with the QR code. So it is as good as your earlier invoice, but additionally it has the QR code also. And now you somebody may say we want to generate in the government format, so that facility is also available. For that, we will click on print e-invoice, and again the invoice will be printed in the PDF format with the QR code and as per the government form. Let us see how it looks like. In the first instance, it takes some time. Thereafter, when you generate the next PDF, then it doesn't take much time. And this one will be as per the government format, but containing the QR code. And either of these formats is valid, no issues. You can use either of these formats. This is the government format e-invoice with the QR code at the top. And the IRN is also there, the acknowledgement number, etc. So this is invoice printed format as the government format. And now the facility, now sometimes some mistake may happen, you want to cancel it. In that case, you have the facility to cancel this invoice also. So let us go to the option of cancellation of invoice for IRN. It is uploaded at the portal. And things happen so fast that it seems that it is happening in the system itself. But the data is being pushed to the portal, and there the IRN has been cancelled. And how we will know it has been cancelled? Obviously, the message has come, but we can also take a printout of the same. Let us take a printout and let us see how it looks like now. And see now the cancellation CNL is there, so it means it has been cancelled, and the time of cancellation, etc., is also appearing. And now let's take a printout. Is there any change in? And you will see in the cancelled invoice format, there will be a watermark of cancelled like this. this completes the process of generation and cancellation of IRN. And it's a seamless process. I think there are no issues. It is as if just you are operating Tally only, and simple commands are there for cancelling the voucher or generating the invoice, etc. So nothing more needs to be done. That was a demonstration of how things will actually happen in Tally software. And I think now we can take the queries.
Sure, sir.
It is not only Tally. This specific session was because many people were asking for this Tally solution, as being told to you already, for SAP, Navision, Oracle, for all these ERPs also we are doing seamless integration, and by the grace of God we've been able to deliver much before the deadline of 1st of October, and many of our clients have already started using e-invoicing, and there's no problem, and they're really happy. Okay, so now the questions.
Yes, sir. Just a second, sir.
Yes, somebody has also asked whether we use SAP or Oracle can we integrate. Definitely, we've already done integration for lots of corporates already, and you can get in touch with the team for knowing the details, etc.
Sir, is e-invoicing applicable for nil and exempted suppliers?
For exempted suppliers, we have a bill of supply, and for that, invoicing is not applicable. And even in the FAQs, they say if it is a taxable, if it is like in the case of restaurant, some items are taxable, like food, etc. That is taxable, and the rates have been prescribed. Some items are outside the scope of GST, like alcohol, liquor. In that case, they have advised that you issue separate invoices. And for the GST invoice, obviously, where invoice is applicable, invoice is to be issued. And for the other portion, for the alcohol, etc., normal invoice can be issued. Yes.
Sir, there are 4 questions regarding the criteria for that 500 turnover thing, sir. This is a common issue that we are facing from last 1.5 years.
What is that?
Sir, it's regarding the criteria for the 500 crore turnover.
I told you that if it is more than 500 crores in your P&L, then nothing needs to be seen. Or if it is the threshold is lower to 100 to 500 crores, etc. Whatever the threshold the government gives you, in that case, you have to see first of all see the turnover as per the P&L. If it is more than that limit, as of now 500 crores, then nothing more needs to be seen. That is applicable to you. Then if it is quite near to the threshold, let's say 490 crores or 400 plus crores, in that case you have to add even the branch transfers which you have sent to your other branches of the same company in other states, because that is also dispatch, and that is part of aggregate turnover that is to be added. Besides that, even you have to add sale of assets, etc., because in the P&L only the profit or loss portion is coming. But for calculating the aggregate turnover, because it is the turnover as you calculate in GSTR 9 or 9C. So all these things have to be included, and once or all the rental income, etc., all these have to be added. And for this purpose, even items which are outside the scope of GST, like alcohol, petrol, etc., even for a purpose of aggregate turnover, even those have to be included, because exempt turnover also includes turnover sales of items which are outside GST. So we have to be careful about these things. Yeah.
Sir, I'll take Ashishji's question. I had cancelled some irons, but now when trying to regenerate the same, it shows error as duplicate iron. How to regenerate the same?
Yes, again, I should have told you that one. In fact, I told you that once an invoice is uploaded, thereafter the same invoice cannot be uploaded again. So again, this also requires changes in our own accounting systems, Tally, etc. Also, that once an invoice has been generated, if it is cancelled due to some reason, you make the changes and you try to upload, or even the same invoice you want to upload once again, with changes or without changes, it will not be uploaded, because that number is already registered there. So you have to make a fresh invoice having a different number. Maybe the contents may be same, everything, but you have to issue a fresh invoice having a different number. Then only you can upload. The same invoice number cannot be uploaded again, even if it is cancelled. Yeah.
Sir, can we upload debit note or credit note without item or quantity? That is only value.
Yes, you can do that. You can do that.
Sir, how can this be done?
Because quantity, etc., I think they are not mandatory fields because sometimes rate difference, etc., is there. So that should be allowed. That should not be an issue.
Okay, sir. I'll take more questions. So someone is asking that invoice is mandatory for all from 1st of December. I don't think there is any clarification regarding this.
No, no, no.
Yes, sir.
But it is not mandatory for all. As of now, from 1st of October, it is mandatory for turnover above 500 crores in 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. Thereafter, the government will lower the threshold in next 2-3 months. It will do that. As of now, they have not given any date for others. But as I say, since it's been successful, already being uploaded at the portal, more than 10 lakh invoices are being uploaded on a daily basis at the portal. So people are not facing issues. Those who had started early and those who are prepared, so they are not facing problems, and that will encourage the government to make it mandatory for even 100 to 500 crores and thereafter for even others. And in due course, I think the government is of wants that e-invoicing will be mandatory for everyone. So let us be careful about that.
Right, sir. So I want to let our participants know that we not only we are integrating for invoicing with Tally, we have an integrated solution for GST return and annual return and two reconciliation along with seamless generation of e-way bill as well. So we have an end-to-end solution if you are a Tally user. And also you can scan this QR code or call us in the below mentioned number. Just take a screenshot of this. If you are logged in from phone, you can contact our team through scanning this QR code. I think we have taken most of the questions.
Just see once again. Let us try and answer most of these. He's saying that at the moment we cannot upload without the quantity debit note, credit notes. I'll look into that and we can get back to him regarding that. On the YouTube, are there any questions?
So someone is asking about B2C generation.
B2C cases, there is not to be, the invoices are not supposed to be uploaded at the portal. That is only a physical invoice or a PDF invoice that you are issuing as of now. Normally a physical invoice is there. So that will continue to be issued. Additionally, a QR code will be there that will be generated by you. Since you are not uploading it at the portal, so the portal will not be giving the QR code to you. That will be generated. Again, Webtel is doing that also.
Yeah.
Webtel is helping you to generate this QR code on B2C invoices also, which will basically enable or which will help the electronic payment using your mobile phones, etc. by scanning the QR code, whereby even the amount of payment will be there. So just scan it and it will be automatically debited to the account, whether you are using Paytm or BMAP, etc. So that is there. So Webtel is doing integration not only for B2B for generating e-invoices, it is doing integration for generation of B2C invoices also, where a QR code is to be generated by the person himself.
Right, sir. So if any of the participants have any doubts, they can simply raise their hands going into the chat section. I'll unmute them and they can ask their queries directly. So waiting for another 30 seconds.
And please remember that material cannot be dispatched without an invoice containing the QR code. And this only one-time relaxation is only for 30 days from the date of the invoice. From the 1st of November, nothing doing, and you will have to ensure that before sending the material, before dispatching the material, the transporter has this invoice, which is already uploaded at the portal. Either he can have a physical invoice or a electronic format or a QR code, but it must be uploaded at the portal. And in some time, probably they will stop generation of even e-way bill. E-way bill will also be, you'll be able to, as of now, you can generate even before e-invoice, but after some time they will stop doing that. And first e-invoice will be have to be generated wherever applicable, then only e-way bill can be generated. Even that will happen after some time. Yes.
Right, sir.
And somebody is asking whether we have to generate it on a real-time basis from our accounting package like Tally, etc. It's not necessary. You may make your invoice, and it has to be uploaded at the portal before dispatch of the material. There is no requirement that it should be generated within 24 hours or 48 hours, etc. Earlier there was this kind of requirement, but that has now been done away with. And it is only just before dispatch of the material you should be generating, and you cannot upload the invoice after dispatch of the material, because that they'll consider as if you're sending the material without invoice anyway. Yeah.
I think we have another question.
Yeah.
So someone is appreciating the presentation, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and preparing this presentation on a very short notice. And I also would like to thank all the participants who have joined us today to this webinar. In case uh, you still need to finalize your invoicing vendor, Webtel is the obvious choice to go with. We are already working with clients for their invoicing. We have already successfully implemented the successful journey of invoicing. You can go to the YouTube channel. We have shared testimonials video of our invoicing clients. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. Rajiv sir, thank you so much.
Thank you, participants.